Well, I tell you what, thanks for all coming out today. I know it's Saturday and a lot of things going on, but appreciate you doing this. But the timing of camp and all, we like to do this very early so we can get right back to work and get in some type of rhythm for the next 2 weeks in camp, because as you all know, camp is probably more crucial to us this year just because of the way the schedule lines up, that we have to be very good very early. And you know, that open date doesn't come till about mid-season, so a little bit different how we approach what we're doing, only because we're trying to look at the schedule, look at the experience we have, the players we have, and try to get the best camp that we can have in the next 2 weeks. So that's why we went on Saturday to get done what we need to get done. As far as things that I can maybe answer for you right up front, first and foremost, I just announced the captains to our football team. I think a critical part of this particular football team will be leadership. Who those people are is starting to unfold, and the first step of that probably happened last night when we made the vote. And it was very clear who the players chose as their captains for this season. On defense, Garrett Scott was chosen as captain, along with Farley, and two excellent picks from the defensive side. Our offense, two offensive captains will be Brian Palangi, our center, and then Carlos Anderson at running back. So all names we recognize, all names that we would expect, but you always wonder how the players are going to pick, and through camp, through the things that we've done, those guys have stood out as leaders in the off season as well. The other thing is when you look at the leadership and the type of people you want around your players are your coaches. And our assistant coaching staff has changed a little bit, but I tell you what, it's exactly what I'd hoped when it all came together, and it probably came together 2 weeks ago, the final stages of it. But it was done that way for a reason. I think a lot of what we do around here is the makeup of why UNI is who we are and what our program is like. And so initially at our coaching staff on offense, Bill Solomon, Mario Verduzco, and Rick Nelson are basically what stabilizes in the calls and the things that we've done over all the years. I mean, there's no changes there. Dan Clark has been with us for a few years. He's coaching our tight ends. The additions to our offensive staff are actually fun when you see the names and how they're interacting with the players. We brought back DJ Horde, okay, the former player. He played at Notre Dame, transferred to UNI, played 2 years for us here, and I believe was a captain here as well. And DJ is working with our receivers and Coach Solomon, and just in the few days that he's been here, tremendous job, tremendous relationship, and he didn't say a whole lot as a player, but he's definitely a person that the players look to in the role that he is in. The other young man is Todd Blythe. Todd Blythe was the receiver for Iowa State, a young man from Iowa, and I always looked at Todd Blythe as a guy that made himself into what he was. He always played beyond his abilities. He played against guys that maybe, he was an Iowa guy playing the game the way I believe the game should be played. And that's the bottom line. His intensity to the game, his ability in the game, it wasn't just about talent, it was about the other things that came with him, is how I recognized him as a coach playing against him. So it's real fun to have Todd on our staff, and Todd will coach our running backs. Going to defense, on the defensive side, Matt Enns and Jeremiah Johnson. Matt Enns is our D-line, and Jeremiah Johnson is defensive backs. Those guys have been with us for a while and have done a great job. But the other guys that we've added is also what I was looking for as far as the temperament, the intensity that you need to play this game with and coach this game with. And the two guys we added there, we added Travis Williams. He played at Auburn and was a part of their successful run as a graduate assistant coach as well as a player. A guy that made himself, I believe, into a player, not purely off talent and size, as you'll see, but because of how he played the game, the intensity he played it with. The other young coach that we have and has done a tremendous job. We've had him for 2 practices, and we've had him for 2 weeks, maybe a week. But it's Daniel Bullocks. Played for the University of Nebraska, was a captain on that football team. Played for the Detroit Lions, and I tell you what, he will coach our defensive backs with Jeremiah Johnson. Tremendous job is how he is coaching our players out on the field. And the tone and the respect that those guys bring to the table because of how they played the game and how they coach the game. And that's why, if you look at the 4 guys that we've brought in addition to the staff, was Blythe and DJ, Bullocks and Williams. You know, it's that intensity, that passion you need to play this game with, and that's, I've always felt what makes UNI what it is, UNI football. And it's not always the talent. I still believe that this place wins because of how we play the game, the attitude we play it with, and the passion and the you know, the love of the game. And if we can pass that on to our players and get that extra effort out of them, I think that's what gives us a chance to be successful every season. So we stuck to the same recipe, and that's why the choice of those coaches, and I couldn't be more happy with them after 2 days of practice. So that's the coaching staff, that's the captains, and I think that's where it's got to start. After that, players are the players. We've got to find the players just like you're going to ask about them. I don't have a lot of answers for you right now, but I have some senses of what they can do for us and how we might be able to use them. So you're going to ask about quarterbacks first. We've got 4 quality quarterbacks. I'm telling you, this is, I've heard the coaches mention it twice already after 2 practices. We have not, in our time here, had 4 quarterbacks that can throw the ball like these 4 guys can and make decisions that they make. 4 young quarterbacks, they're all young too, a redshirt sophomore, a true freshman, 3 redshirt sophomores, and 1 true freshman, okay? And all of them carrying themselves like juniors, even the freshman does. Tremendous job in 2 days of practice. And our skeleton is totally different, which is our pass part of practice against just passing. Totally different now because the ball is, there's some very good balls thrown out there in very tight spots. Not always to the right guy, but we'll get that cleaned up. But I tell you what, they're throwing some good balls out there right now, which is exciting for this season and for a long time to come. So that's pretty neat. So we can talk about them if you'd like, but they're all 4 of them. Should be mentioned in the same breath, not 1 or 2, all 4 of them right now. The one that you may not have or heard about and tagged is, of course, you all know about Sawyer Cole Morgan, Jenks, Oklahoma, Jared Lamphere, Kansas City, Stephen Kaiser transferred in from SMU. That's the one that you may or may not have known about. And then, of course, Justin Black is the freshman from Florida. So those would be the 4 quarterbacks that you'll be looking to, I'm sure, once you hit down to the floor. Running backs wise, I think we're good at running back. I think we've got a chance there to have some quality there. Carlos, of course, was just chosen as captain. Had some injuries last year, but he's full go and kind of has that attitude of missing a season, that he didn't get everything out of last season that he wanted, so he has a different kind of presence and attitude of how he's approaching things right now. Of course,
David Johnson.
David Johnson, how about that? Okay, I went brain dead a little bit, but David, everybody talks about David. David's a big, strong man, all right, and he'll bring another dimension to the game that we need. I think Zach Cutcomb, tremendous. The work ethic that he brings to the game and what he brings to the whole offense, you know, he may be listed 3 on a depth chart. Zach's as important as anybody to us. We brought in Evan Williams, another junior college guy, to shore that place up. Very talented young man with 3 years left to play. And then Tyvis Smith, a young man from Davenport. We brought him, another big, tall back. If you look at our backs, they're bigger than our linebackers. You know, so it's a quality group and a very young group as well. Carlos is a senior, but the rest are sophomores. So it's a very strong group, a very good group, I think. So, receivers, probably the guys you look to that I believe will be very strong for us are, again, our 3 sophomores, LeMaster and Owens and Vereen. Those 3 guys are very quality receivers for us, all in that redshirt sophomore class. And of course, we'll all talk to Sinkfield today, because Sink is a very quality player that's in his senior season right now. But there's other players out there that got to make it go. Sink's a great receiver. But the other 3, we're going to have to balance the field, and they'll be the guys that allow us to do that. Offensive line, guys that I probably really look to are, number 1, Palangi is at the center. He's Sauer at the tackle. I think Tim Sauer, I mean, if you just watch him when he's coaching our camps, you know, he helped us some and just camps off to the side, and he's very vocal. He's got a love for the football game, and he's always worked hard at this game for the technique of it. So I think Tim Sauer and Brian Palangi are 2 guys that I would really say are guys that we need to come through for our offense. Of course, Kruger is going to play the left guard, and then Rummels is at the right guard. Again, Rummels, I think, is a redshirt sophomore. So that sophomore class is very, very strong, and there's a lot of starters in that class. Defensively, real quick on defense, defensive line is a work in progress, is the linebackers. To tag names to them right now, I don't know that we need to go there. I think in the front, we're too deep at the defensive tackles. Mac O'Brien's doing a great job. Muhammad Chroma, Xavier Williams. I mean, those guys are doing a great job inside for us right now, and they're big, strong defensive tackles for us. Defensive ends, we're working to find out who those are, but Tim Clark and Chris Jepson are two guys that have started for us going down the back half of last season. So they're back and getting ready for the football season. And then we've got some younger guys in behind them that we're trying to find that next person. And I think Colin Albrecht from Cedar Falls has really stepped up and became that position. Now he's going into his junior year, so he's starting to get to the level of play that, he can hold the line of scrimmage, and he's always been a very good athlete. So linebacker-wise, Jordan Gakey will definitely be the leader of that group. Excellent football player, excellent attitude, plays the game the way it's supposed to be played, and prepares the way you're supposed to prepare. He is the one that will lead that group. Sam Tim is the other returner there. He's been with us going into his third season now, and Sam has always been that backup guy to all the nickel/Sam linebackers we've had, and it's his turn now to become the leader at that spot. In the secondary, what I'd say about the secondary is, Varma is a very good football player. And, pound for pound, he's as good a football player that ever put his foot on that field. I mean, he's the real deal, and he plays the game with an excitement to it. He plays the game with the fun in the game. He's a backyard type guy that just wants to have as much fun, but he plays the game. I mean, he'll come saw you down as much as he'll try to go for the intercept. He's just a quality player, quality personality, and really brings that relationship that you kind of got to get, that sense in the huddle. He's a big part of that just because of his personality. Garrett Scott, about as headsy as a football player as you find. That's why he's been playing all these years, but he's a headsy player and a smart player. And then, of course, J.J. Swain is at the other corner. We played him as a true freshman. And then our other safety is Wilmot Wellington, who actually we redshirted a year, moved him from running back to safety, and he's our free safety right now, and he can cover some ground. So that's the offense and the defense. Tyler Severson, of course, we're fortunate to have him as our kicker. Kyle Bernard at our punter. We're going into the third year as a starting. And John Hubbard is our snapper. So all those have been our starters for the past 3 seasons. They'll be, we're solid there, comfortable there, and moving forward on the special teams. So I'll open it up to you. And
it's a tough season opener. You're opening it on the road at Wisconsin. Talk about that.
Yeah, the schedule is very interesting this year. I never thought, even as a UNI grad, a coach, or a player, I never thought UNI would play 2 FBS teams in the same season. It was never even on the horizon. Always play one and always try to play Iowa or Iowa State. That just comes with the territory. I mean, you expect that. But there was no expectation to play 2. And then the 2 that we play, on top of that, you're playing Wisconsin and Iowa. So those 2 will bring a whole nother dimension, if you will, or an attitude towards camp, towards how you approach the game. So, what I believe about Wisconsin is this. They're a top 5 team in the country. They're the real deal. I've watched these guys on film. They are the real deal. I mean, they're putting 50 and 80 points on Indiana and 50 on Michigan State. I mean, you look at the teams they play, the scores they get, they're the real deal. They're well-coached, hard-nosed. They are powerful. Okay, it's a bottom line for them. So that is about as big a challenge as any team would face, not just us. Any team in the country lining against them at Camp Randall on top of it. So great opportunity for all these players to step on that field, because that's an experience. There's a lot of value to the experience. There's a lot of value to playing well too. So we have to find a way to line that up and find a way to use our people to have a chance to win that football game. So
Bielema said that he didn't really want to be up against you guys right off the bat, because he knows that you coach your team well, and your guys could be playing well. What do you think about your chances going up against the Badgers, and what do you think about Bielema's praise over your team?
Well, we appreciate that, and I know Brett, and he's about as what I like about Brett is he coaches the game like I coach it, I think. We're defensive guys that just want to play with that temperament of aggression. You know, and he does it now. And he'll put it on you. So I appreciate him saying that, and I don't want to play him either. But, you know, we're going to take this football team, we'll prepare it like whether it's Wisconsin or North Dakota State or Youngstown or wherever we got. We'll line them up the same way, and we're going to line our guys up, and we'll take the field with the attitude and the temperament. I've never put my foot on the field I didn't think we could win. Now, I've got to put some thought into this one, but we'll try to find a way.
Coach, I know you can't talk too much about the quarterback battle, but can you talk a little bit about their relationship with each other and kind of what each of those guys brings to the table?
Yeah, there's two that are fighting battle head-to-head after spring. We'll start with Jared. He's the oldest, Jared Lanfear. Jared's got very headsy at the line, very accurate quarterback. Okay, good drop back quarterback. Sawyer Cole Morgan, a little bit stronger build to him, a little bit ability to run. Very headsy at the line of scrimmage. He's been in a spread offense his whole career. From Jenks, Oklahoma. That's a big program in Oklahoma. So he's been underneath the lights, and he's very calm demeanor because he's called all his plays with a no huddle all the way through high school. So he's got a lot of experience that way. Stephen Kaiser. Stephen Kaiser went to SMU as one of the top quarterbacks in the country, and it didn't work out for whatever reasons, but he chose here, a very competitive decision because he had a lot of choices. And he knew who he was up against in the two that we had, but he chose here because of his confidence in his ability and wanting to be part of a winning program. He wants to win. So, again, you kind of see the attitude and the temperament he is as he takes that huddle. If he's taking on that challenge, he'll also bring that presence to the field. And last but not least is Justin Black. Justin chose as a young man to go from Michigan, transfer down to Florida to play at Barron Collier in 1 year. So he had to become the starting quarterback in 1 year and actually lived by himself that year while his parents lived in Michigan. So he's already been away for a year, and it kind of tells you the maturity he has to be able to do that as a young man. So he's a very quality person, very focused, and has a purpose in life and a purpose in football, and that's the maturity that you normally don't see from a true freshman. So that's the four quarterbacks.
So how quickly do you have to narrow this thing down, though?
My intention is, if the plan unfolds, we're gonna give four guys equal opportunity, probably through 5 practices. Okay, so that's about Monday or Tuesday. About midweek next week, we're gonna take it down to 3. Right now, we've got enough receivers. I brought extra receivers into camp so we can throw enough balls. Okay, so we made structured camp so we get more reps to our quarterbacks so we can decide very quickly. That'll get it down to 3. We'll roll with 3 probably for another week, get that down to 2, and then by the time school starts, hopefully we'll be down to 1 and get that one person ready for the football game as we move forward. So it's kind of eliminate 1 by week. It's a good plan, but who knows? Next week the plan will change.
Quarterback survivor?
The quarterback survivor. They're good, man. They like each other. Mario's a great coach. Couldn't have a better guy coaching those 4 guys. And they're here for a reason. They like Mario. I mean, they know how Mario coaches, and we let our quarterbacks make decisions, and we're a throwing football team, so that's probably the difference of last year to this year. We ran the option with Terrell. Terrell could run. We'll run very similar offense, but when Terrell pulled it down and ran, he could score. These guys get a first down and move the chains. So it's a little different attitude, same offense, but move the chains versus, the guy might score every time he touched the ball last year. So this year we'll have to use our talent surrounding him and then move the chains.
So not only do you have two FBS opponents, but the MVFC looks as good as always. Is this the toughest schedule you've ever seen?
It's all about the league. I mean, the toughness of it every year, everything is tough. We're just focused on trying to get better today, and truthfully, we haven't mentioned the teams that you talked about right now. It's all about Youngstown is the first league game, and the thing that caught my eye in the Youngstown is I believe they have 4, possibly 5 players on offense that are first team preseason all conference. There's no other team even close to that. So you've got 4 guys, and the quarterback is one of them, the running back is one of them, the lineman, it's spread out too, so it's balanced. All the talent in this league, and from North Dakota State to Northern Iowa, Youngstown's got all the all-league players. Okay, so that should say something alone. Secondly, North Dakota State holds itself by alone because it's the national champion, and of course we all know that's who we tied for the league championship last year. So North Dakota they have 6 returners on defense, I believe, and 7 on offense. So, when you look at those 2 games alone, it's not about Wisconsin and Iowa, right? It's about those 2 games for us, and it's about the other game, the Ohio game. I mean, we know nothing about them. I mean, we kind of ended up playing them because of Savannah State left us hanging, and due to that, we've got a team that we know nothing about in between, 2 Big Tens. So there's a lot of things going on in the heads of young men and the heads of coaches trying to get them ready for stability, and yet, winding up in Camp Randall, coming home, going to Kinnick, and the ultimately is going to Youngstown in the opener. So, you can't look past anything, but, that's a grind. There's no question about that.
We think going to Youngstown and then hosting North Dakota State back to back, what you think that'll really dictate how your league schedule goes?
I wouldn't say, it'll have a huge presence in the league, because those 2 games before the open date. So, the league's good. Illinois State's really good in that, and that's down the line. But, I'm concerned about the first till that open date, because we can't come up for air. What we do in camp is what we are. Usually I can take an open date in the 2nd or 3rd week of the season, fix what isn't right, and then adapt and adjust for the rest of the season. Now we've got to play the best in the first 5, and we're going to have to catch a wind at the break and then line them up again for the second half. So I'll play that out as it goes. Right now we just got to find out who our quarterback is, who our linebackers are, and who our tackles are. Because they're going to have to line up for us, and we need more than 5 linemen because of who we play. It's going to be your 6th and 7th guy that you might be playing with come Youngstown. It might be your 2nd quarterback that's lined up against your number 1 team in your league. It might be your 3rd linebacker or your 3rd defensive end by the time you hit your league. So we have to be strong, we have to be healthy, but we have to be tough, which means camp's got to be tough.
Coach, you mentioned some linemen that you're going to be relying on this year. Kruger was one of those guys to be playing guard for you. How have you seen him progress so far in the offseason?
Kruger is so consistent. That's what's great about Kruger. He's consistent, and he comes from a real small football program, but he comes from a tough program. And they ran the football, and that's the way he plays the game. We had to teach him how to pass pro, because all they wanted to do there was run the ball. So, and that's what's great about it, because that's his mindset, and he's gotten bigger and stronger, and he's a soft-spoken leader for us because of his experience. People look to him. He's not going to be the guy being the cheerleader out front, but he's a soft-spoken leader that the players will look to.
Coach, you obviously had a really good defense last season. Garrett Scott's going to lead your DBs, but talk about some of the other guys. You got Tim Kilfoy coming in, Nate Shaw. Are they going to see much playing time, or are they preparing well for the season?
Yes, there will be freshmen that play in this class. There will be. Kilfoy, both the 2 that you mentioned, Tim Kilfoy and Nate Shaw, have came in. You're talking 2 practices now. Kilfoy, very smart. He's a smart football player. He's Garrett Scott's what Garrett was as a freshman. I mean, he's a leader. Even as a freshman, he's got that presence about himself, and he just knows how to get involved and come in at a play at the right angles, and yet with some speed. And then Nate Shaw, he's more like he was in high school too. I mean, he's like a Mike linebacker. He's got a nose for the football, and he's always running downhill. I've seen that in 2 days of practice. So we have to get him the schematics of things right now, but he's got a nose for the football, and he plays it with the right attitude when he gets there. And then we've got other freshmen, Tyvis Smith. I'm telling you, Tyvis, that's a big young man that's very athletic, okay? And he's got a love for the football game. And I'm excited for some of these other guys. I mean, there's good talent out there.
Blake White as well, he's back. I mean, he's going to see a lot of playing time like he did last year.
Who's that?
White.
Oh, Derek White?
Yeah.
Yes, Derek actually, he hurt his shoulder early in the season, played with a bad shoulder all season. And then when he got it fixed right at Christmas, it went so well that he fixed the other one because that was just as bad. So he's coming off 2 shoulders and has really worked his tail off all summer to be a part of this as well. And he's a very smart, good football player as well, much like Garrett.
Mark, you laid out a fairly reasonable specific timetable for quarterbacks. What about replacing some of the guys in the interior defensive line? Is there a timetable where you're looking at?
Yeah, you're talking about the defensive line, correct?
Yes.
He's talking about the interior defensive line. And, the guy that consistently who's been there, who's very consistent, much like Kruger is on offense, is Mac O'Brien on defense. Very consistent, has developed in the stages, worked out with Ben Boothby all these years. And part of our program is you learn from the the players that have been here. And Mac has been Ben Boothby's partner his whole time he's been here, which means he's kind of been, that's the only way he knows how to do it is the way Ben did it, which is, there's not many people do it that way. So hopefully he'll carry what he can from that into his own game and pass it on in time. The guy that's had a good camp in 2 days, Muhammad Croma. Muhammad is really, he's dropped weight, he can run. I've always been excited about him because he's very athletic, but he's just starting to come into his own. Will he stay consistent? Xavier Williams was the other redshirt sophomore tackle. So there's two 315-pound tackles that we took, that this will be the first year playing. And quite honestly, when I looked at the schedule and they asked me about playing Wisconsin, the first thing I looked at was our depth chart. And I wanted to see who was going to be in our offensive line, how big were we in the defensive line, and how fast were we in the secondary. Because I just feel if you're big enough in the two lines of scrimmage, you can have a chance. And if you're fast enough in secondary, you can have a chance. And we've got 4 senior DBs. We've got about 4 D tackles that I think we can roll that are big and strong. And I think our offensive line is redshirt senior type players that are mature enough now to step on a field like Camp Randall and hopefully have the composure and the awareness to play at the level that we need to play at.
That next man up, especially on linebackers, lines.
Yeah.
How hard is it here in camp to get those guys up to speed?
Well, you're talking about the next man, the depth chart basis, the way I read that question, and that's kind of what I mentioned before. I think that if you've got, there's 2 guards that play in the field, you better have 3. If there's 2 offensive tackles, you better have 3. And that third one's going to have to play. By schedule, it's going to dictate it to play. We're going to have to. If we're going to be a good team in the league, we're going to need 3 because, just on paper it says, I'm not a genius. I know that something's going to happen in those first 3 games. So we got to develop the football team as a balanced as we bring it along so that we're strong across the board, which in turn should pay dividends in the league. And if it does, the great thing about those 2 games, I don't care if it's a freshman playing or a senior playing, we will be a better football team come game 4 than we were in game 1. We're going to have to be.